the Python venv virtual environment, managing dependencies. Python virtual environment is a tool for managing your dependencies and also for isolating your project effectively. Okay, that's what we use venv for in Python. It would avoid what we call conflict between those projects. Let's say we have project one. Okay, we have project two, we have project three towards to project n, right? So per project, what you are saying is that per project, this one now, this one, project one we have its own venv, the same as project two we have its own what venv, and project three we also have its own venv up to what, up to project n, any number of projects that you might be working on. This will separate different projects from each other to avoid conflict in their respective dependencies. Why do we use it? Why use venv? Why use venv? Isolate what? Isolate dependencies. Don't worry, we still talk about the dependencies and the dependencies. So this is number one. Why use dependencies? Why use venv to what? To isolate dependencies. The dependencies are the libraries, the modules we use in the course of our project development. Conflict, 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 right? So this is the next one. Why we use VM? To avoid conflicts. Installing packages globally, better collaboration. Okay, better collaboration. That's the third one. Why we use VNV? So sharing a project with a requirement.txt. We still talk about requirements.txt. Okay, sharing our project with requirement.txt file, it will allow others to replicate the environment quickly. The same environment that we are working on, they can replicate it quickly as well. Which makes the project more portable. Script. When you create the VNV, automatically you will see all the scripts module inside this directory that was created. You see library, you see all those all the things, all the tools you need inside the virtual environment. Then activate. So this one works well on Windows. Not to activate on Windows, right? Works well on Windows. Okay, and for if you are using Linux, you know you can use source, right? Source, my venv, beam, beam. So sorry, use beam. Okay, activate. Source my venv beam activate. This is how you activate your virtual environment on Linux. Don't forget, very useful, isolating your project. So you notice, if you've tried this after activation, you know you notice that the environment name appears in your terminal prompt. Okay, that you are now in an isolated Python environment. You are now in an isolated Python environment. So you now be seeing something like this, my path environment. So now the next thing is installing different packages in the environment. That's the next thing. Now you can now install the dependencies, the packages you want to use inside that environment that you want to use for that project. For that what? For that project. So any packages you install using pip will be confined in this environment. You know, you use pip to install, to install packages, to install packages. A tool to install a tool to install Python packages. Python packages. So you can now use pip to install Python inside that isolated environment. Install. I want to install request. I want to make HTTP requests. I want to install request inside that virtual environment. What will I do? I'll say pip install what? Pip install requests. So what I highlighted is what I want to install. Because I want to make some HTTP requests. So I install this. So this library here, everything that is pertaining to this request library will be stored inside this virtual environment here. So that anytime I want to use it in my project, I can just call requests. I can just say import what? Import request, and I can use request.post or request.get or get.post, and just use this method in my project. You get it. So that's the main one of the functions of virtual environment. So it will install requests only within this my environment. I have activated it. I can also deactivate it. Okay, I've activated, deactivate. Also deactivating the virtual environment, so I can deactivate it. Right. So how do I deactivate? I can just on Linux. I can just say deactivate. Okay, this is Linux. On Windows, I'll type the same thing here, then go to deactivate. This is for what? Windows. That's simply the command to deactivate the virtual environment. All right. So you can also manage your dependencies using the request.txt file. Managing dependencies with requirements txt file. So this is what we use in Python generally to manage our virtual environment dependencies, our project dependencies that is in virtual environment. So it's a text file, as the name implies, requirements.txt file. So now all my libraries that I'm using here, all the libraries I'm using in this virtual environment, I want to copy it here because this is a file I can share with anybody that can replicate all the dependencies I am having on my project, on my platform. So if I want to copy all the dependencies here, I can just say pip all the dependencies I am having on my project, on my platform. So if I want to copy all the dependencies here, I can just say pip phrase, requirements .txt. All right, pip freeze. Pip freeze will be copying. Pip freeze will be copying all the dependencies I've installed here using this command pip install. You get. is to install it in this requirement.txt, right? So now if this requirement.txt is sent to someone else, or I also want to reinstall it, I can just say reinstalling installing the requirement.txt file. So which is containing dependencies, our dependencies. I can just say pip, pip install r dash r, right? Requirement.txt. So all the dependencies I've already copied here, their names and the version. I can also reinstall all of them here using this command. Alright. Okay, so that's just about virtual environment, managing dependencies, isolating project dependencies.